All right. Hi, my name is Isaiah. I'm a high schooler, and I believe I am an atheist. I believe I am an atheist because it just doesn't make sense that we all come from just Adam and Eve. Another reason why I believe that I'm an atheist is the Christian, they're so forceful on me, and so it's why be forced into something that isn't loving.
Hi, my name is Lillian. It's nice to meet you. And the reason why I'm a Christian is because my experience with Jesus and God's trustworthiness in my life, and through my experience, it only shows that there's a God and that we are created in His image. And as my experience as a Christian, He's not only been present with me, but I've also seen the bad, and when I see the evil, I've seen the evil before, I would say, and I've seen the devil, and that only proves that there's a God out there. Because if there's good, then there has to be bad, right? So if there's good and there's bad, you also know there's heat and there's cold and there's light and there's darkness. So if you have evil in this world, you have a God and there's good. So that's why I'm a Christian, and that's why I believe there's a God.
Well, nice to meet you, Lily, of course. And you mentioned, of course, that you believe because you've seen evil and you've seen good and it would be in that relationship. But then how could you tell me about of course, from reading the Bible, you can see how Adam and Eve started in the beginning. Now, how can you tell me that we all came from the offsprings of him? When, of course, it states in the Bible that they were the first two men and women. So how are we all able to come after that?
So in the Bible, it says, obviously, Adam and Eve. And I would believe, as you would say, evolution. And through evolution, there's a process, right? So through the evolution of Adam and Eve and the family trees that became from them, it would spread down, right? So through the process of that, mankind would spread and spread and spread.
All right, so you're telling me that as us, we came like offspring, like of course you're mentioning kind of towards like a family tree. So basically from off a family tree, that's like cousins of cousins of cousins. So basically you're telling me that me and you are cousins. And then also you're mentioning evolution. So by you mentioning evolution, then that makes me believe that we came from cavemen, or of course, like a lot of people like to say, the missing link. So based off of that, you're telling me that evolution is true from what you're saying. So basically you're telling me that when Christians like to say evolution is not true, you're just telling me right off the bat that evolution is true, as you kind of sort of stated it from the Bible. And another one, of course, you're saying that we're family and relatives, and I'm not with that right there.
So I did say evolution only because it can be used as a tool, not as an origin. You understand? So it's a process, not an origin.
Okay, what I was saying, because how I brought up you saying evolution, and you said that evolution doesn't relate to originate, basically.
It's not an origin.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, you compared evolution to Adam and Eve, which started in the beginning. So how could you say that evolution and originate aren't the same thing when you're comparing the two together?
Right. So what I meant was that it was used as a tool to have Adam and Eve. Because when you start a place, there's only evolution. So that's what I meant with the family tree. So over time, it just evolved and evolved.
Yeah.
That's how.
All right. So what you're telling me, though, is that evolution was used as a tool and not from originate.
Right. Because to evolve, or did you press it?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm just stating your question. All right. So from you telling me that, I still got to wonder, like, how are you kind of comparing the two? And then if you're saying that if evolution was used as a tool from, like, way back then, like, from what, like, how we were in cavemen, I guess you compare it to cavemen, how we evolution from like monkeys to humans now. That's considered evolution because we changed over time. So how is that from Adam and Eve? Are you considering Adam and Eve a cavemen? How are monkeys, I guess you could say, and that's how we create from evolution? And then also, let me not get sidetracked too much, back to the family thing. So you're saying that we still came from the two. But how are we able, like, I get what you're saying about you're saying that, oh, we came from family tree, offspring, but yet we're still related all with another. So how can you prove to me that we are not all related together and that we are all just one being of different families and everything, when you're clear as day telling me that, as I'm restating your thing, saying that we come from how you like to relate it to a family tree.
So, obviously, through the time through life, humankind did spread worldwide, and different family trees were made, and different things were placed in the world.
Okay, so another question I would like to ask, well, I guess sum it up, and before, like, this is just the main question, why do bad things happen to good people? Let me add a backstory to it. I had one of my brothers, he was just having a good day, just roaming around, and it's hard to talk about, but he was murdered by a driver while driving. No, he was not intoxicated. No, he was not on his phone. It was because a ball had rolled over, and then he just bam and kind of tried to swerve out of the way, and he hit my brother. So I would like to understand, like, how is that God can be able to take my brother, who was just a wonderful and kind person, who was just there in the front yard just having fun, when someone had taken his life, yet he was not in any kind of bad motive or anything, but yet he still took another's life. I would like to understand, how is that even possible for that to happen?
First thing, I'm sorry for your loss. I feel for you. I'm sorry you had to go through that. But first off, I do not know why God allowed evil and suffering for thousands of years. And as a human being, as a follower of Christ, I can't say I do know, because my God is beyond my mind. So I do not know. But I believe we have to think. Through the Bible doesn't ultimately answer that question. So we have to look through the evidence. God created you and me in his image. And if we are made in his image, then we aren't robots or machines, because God himself is not a robot or machine. He's a spiritual and eternal being. And since we are made in his image, we have free will that he's given us. In the beginning, it says in chapter 1, he created us in his image. And chapter 3, when humans, Adam and Eve, rebelled against God, they chose to disobey and show rebellious against him. And when that disengagement happened, God stepped back. And because he stepped back, that's when chaos and evil and suffering came in. Okay? And it says in chapter 1 that God created this and saw it was good, and God created that and saw it was good. So that phrase itself is repeated and repeated in that context. And when it's repeated every time, the author is trying to get a point across. So what that means is God created this and did a good job. So that tells us that God is good. He's everything good. He's not evil. He's not suffering. He's love. So I'm sorry that happened to you. I never want to put that upon someone else. But the reason why I believe evil and suffering exist in this world is because of our past human mistakes. Because Adam and Eve chose this, because of their free will, this happened. And God, in that moment, partially, when he created us, he partially limited his power and gave us free will. But as you said, the driver that hit your brother, it's obviously that it's no one's fault. I could do whatever I want, and he won't stop me. And not to be harsh or anything, but I can either slap someone in the face, or I can give him money for lunch. It's just my free will that he's given me.
Okay, so as you kept saying, chapter 1, chapter 2, I've barely clue what you mean by that, because there's many chapters in the Bible, so right. I don't understand what you're kind of really context.
Right.
And then how you also said that God was, before Adam and Eve ate the apple from the tree or whatever, how much people saying that, you said God pulled back and let evil come in. But then as you said, God gave us also the free will. But also one thing I noticed, you said God pulled back and let evil come.
Right.
Why was there evil there when God was still there? Like I'm trying to ask that because
Go ahead.
yeah, I'm wondering that you said God was there, so and pulled back and evil came. Why was there evil there when God was still there? Yes, I can clear as day say that you mentioned free will plenty of times, but yeah, I still don't understand how is there evil still in the picture when you said that God was there, but pulled back evil. That's what I'm not understanding of you. Keep saying that.
Right. So when God created us in His image, as you say, you don't understand the chapter 1, chapter 2. So I'll say, when God created us in His image, He partially limited His power by giving us free will. So when He did that, He no longer has reign over us. Although He's still there, He can't say, bow down to me and worship me, for I can do that. I'm your master. No, He doesn't do that. So because He gave us free will, evil was still around. Because Adam and Eve can do whatever they want. They could eat fruit. They could pet an animal. God didn't say, you can't do that. He gave them a choice. And because of Adam and Eve's decision, that only made evil more present.
Okay, so the chapter thing, I'm still confused because I don't understand what you mean by chapter, because I don't know if you're relating to the Bible, relating to a book, or whatever. Still a mystery to me because I can't tell if you're just quoting it by your own opinion or not.
Right.
And then back, of course, like as I mentioned before, I do understand that you did mention free will, and I do understand what free will means as, of course, being able to do what you want. And then you also said that just because you also said that like, oh, there's evil no matter what, but yet you're also stating that just because Adam and Eve did that, evil came into the world. So I'm wondering, so was evil always there, or was evil not evil there after the fact that Adam and Eve ate the apple, or whatever
Right.
people like to say? So it's kind of twisting me up by what you're saying, because you're not being very clear with your answer on this point. So as of course I would ask again, like, if God was there, why was there still evil there? It has to do with Adam and Eve or nothing in their free will. I'm just wondering, if God was there, why was there evil there? Even after the fact that you said Adam and Eve ate the apple and then God pulled back and evil came in, why was there still evil there when God was there?
It's not my opinion. It's what I read and what I believe and what my experience through the Bible and Jesus' trustworthiness, that I read the Bible and I trust it. And I know you may not know it. I hope you get to know it one day. Hope I can help you. But it does say in Genesis chapter 1 that God created us in His image, and we aren't robots, we aren't machines. And I know your second question was, why was evil there in the first place? Well, like I said, when God created us in His image, because we have free will, that obviously means that there's bad. Because we humans, we aren't perfect. We can do wrong, we can hate, we can love, we can be indifferent, we can choose. And because He gave us the ability to choose, to have this innate ability to love, we can also do bad. And because we can do bad, that's why that was there.
All right, so thank you for clearing me about the chapter thing. Of course, I'm guessing you read it because you just said one chapter. You're reading all chapters off of Genesis, right? You can say yes or no to that.
Yes.
Okay. And back to your thing, as I stated, so you're telling me that since God gave us free will, there's always been evil. But I'm also saying this, like, I understand what you keep saying about free will and about evil. But then you're also mentioning evil. I keep hearing evil, evil, evil. Where does evil play in the role of how my brother died? There's no evil. It's just an accident that happened. Understand that this guy was just trying to get out of the way. He had no intentions on evil, anything. So where does the evil play in that role of my brother getting killed?
As I've stated before, when Adam and Eve ate the fruit, it's a symbolic of sin. So when they ate that, the disengagement happened. And because that disengagement happened, that made life unfair. That's where death, disease, and accidents just happen. Because life is unfair. If I stub my toe and that wasn't God's will, that wasn't evil, it's an accident. I'm not putting that up to the level, but life is fair. God is fair. I don't want to get those two mixed up.
Another question I would like to say is that you base a lot of your things off answers from the Bible. Mm-hmm. So from my standpoint, I don't know how you can be able to say something off of course, like many people say, written by man. But yet I would also like to say this, that there is this thing, that conspiracy that goes around saying that the Bible was changed years ago by these monks, Asian monks, because that wasn't their belief. And so I would like to understand, like, from that happening, from it changing and everything, how is that able to be possible? How is that able that the Bible is true and everything? But yeah, and also, like, I'm not going to say written by man, because there's many things that are written by man that people believe in. But yet, I also got to understand that, how long ago was that again? That was so many years from, like, history books. Yeah, I understand it, that I'm not a big fan of history, but, like, I don't really understand how we can see someone off of something when that was so many years ago. How do we know that those are all true? How do we know that the Bibles are true? How do we know that everything's true and isn't just made up? Doesn't make us from us being able to listen. So how do you know it's true?
I can promise you I can never truly prove to you that the Bible is the Word of God. So I'm not going to waste my time explaining, and I'm not going to waste your time listening. But we do have to look at the evidence, not the proof, but the evidence. Why do I believe in the Bible? The evidence in the New Testament and the Gospels are historically reliable. Why? I've found that there are tests that help me believe that this is. Not only through my experience, but also through these tests that I've found that suit me. So I hope you can listen and see which test that you think you can do to help you learn why do I believe in the Bible. So the first test that helps me is internal consistencies. Are there contradictions within the text that point to massive confusion? Jesus never contradicted himself, because if he did, then people would say, well, that doesn't make sense, because you're saying this, but you're also saying this. So I always look for internal consistencies. If there's contradictions, then I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. So that always causes a little doubt. My second test I do is what's the literal style. It's not Jack and Jill went uphill to get water, and a pillar hit Jack's crown and Jill went tumbling after. It's not a fairy tale. It's not mythology. It's read like the New York Times. They wrote that Jesus did this. He was here. He was at this place at this time with these people, and he said this. So it's wrote down like a newspaper. Third test, archaeology. Are we talking about island of Atlantis? No, we're talking about real places like Bethlehem, Jerusalem, Nazareth, Sea of Galilee. Jesus didn't float on the Sea of Atlantis. Like I said, he went on the Sea of Galilee. So I look at that, the real places and the fake. That the real places that they were at only prove to me that this is real, the Bible is real, because it was written by witnesses. You obviously said, well, how can we know? It's basically 2,000 years old. Man could have corrupted it. Just like you said with the monks, man could have corrupted it. So what gives me any certainty that is real? The New Testament that we have in English today is based off 5,800 Greek manuscripts, or pieces of manuscripts, from the 2nd through the 11th century AD, around the known world of that day, which was Mediterranean, Egypt, and I believe Rome, all agreeing to an infant testimonial degree. If we didn't have all the manuscripts, we would have 38,289 quotes only the early church fathers wrote in their letters that they quoted.
Okay, so out of all your tests, yes, those tests seem valid, but I like to also pick out one test that I've noticed, because you're saying that man corrupted it. And how was man able? No, you said how is man able to be corrected? Sorry, my bad. So you're saying that there was only 11 things that they said that they didn't write down. How do you know if that's true if you're trying to base the Bible off the manuscripts, but yet you're saying these fathers back then want to go ahead and testify that there was only 11 things that they didn't write? How do we know that those 11 wasn't more than that? How do we know that? How do you know that? That's what I like to understand, is how do you can go back in time and just tell me right about, oh, they said that.
So when the early church fathers posted their letters for all to see, and as you said, I would say the witnesses. And to clarify, out of the whole Testament, only 11 weren't quoted. So that whole Testament is true. So that only proves those 11 are true too. So that just proves that the Bible, the early fathers wrote those in their letters. They posted it. And out of the whole New Testament, those 11 ones didn't make it. Because they probably didn't want it in there. So that's my answer, is that out of the whole New Testament, only 11 left out. So obviously, in the beginning, there's time, space, and matter. And not to put words in your mouth, but most atheists say that it's the Big Bang. So I wanted to ask, okay, my question is about the Big Bang, time, space, and matter. Where would you put matter and space, but no time? Where would you put it? If there was no matter, space, or if there was matter but no space, where would you put it? That's my question.
Back to my opening statement, you obviously know that is one of the reasons I never mentioned that's why I'm an atheist, because I think the Big Bang's stupid, because I read back to a scientist who said that nothing came from nothing. So out of that, I don't care about the Big Bang, because that was none of the reasons why I became an atheist. So that's to answer your question right there. Like, I don't really care about the Big Bang, and I obviously think that what that happened, like what scientists say, that it's not true. It's not adding up. Dang, I forgot what I said. I'm not gonna lie. Of course, I said one of the things is that churches were forceful to me, right, and pushing onto me and egging me, and like, who the heck wants to be forced into something? And one of the other things I said was, what was it? The first thing.
Your brother died.
No, that wasn't the first. That wasn't the first thing. That was based off of her. Oh my goodness!
I'm gonna answer your first one.
Yeah, answer my first one.
Okay. Don't believe in a religion. Follow Jesus Christ. If it's the church people that did that, that's the people themselves. That's their flesh. That's not God. Don't put that on God.